everyone, and welcome to today's Free Training Thursday. Today I have here with me Ben Fu, who will take us through security and the ethical wall. If you have any questions, please place them in the sidebar, and if we have time, we will get to them at the end. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Ben Fu.
Thank you, Amanda. Welcome again to another Free Training Thursday, as Amanda just said. Today we're going to cover ethical law and the security. Okay. For today's class, just know that of course you can always write your questions at the very end of the session that I'm going to go over, and we'll take it from there as far as your questions are concerned after that. Okay. So when it comes to your ethical wall, you can set certain parameters in place in certain settings, and that's going to be the objective today. I'm going to walk you through how to set that up so that you have that accessible at any time if you want to use the ethical wall. So an ethical wall is a screening mechanism that protects clients from a conflict of interest by preventing one or more attorneys from participating in any matters for which they have a conflict. And once you do have that set up, the matter is going to be blocked. And once the matter is blocked, then all the matters linked, notes, and the documents and the emails will also be blocked as well. So as far as the ethical wall is concerned, you can have up to two different types of security modes, okay, that can operate in. So the first one being the default viewing privileges, which I'll walk you through how to set that up. And those are set for all new matters by attorney and or by matter case codes, and can be changed or overwritten at the individual matter level, which is as an option as well. And then, of course, besides the default viewing privileges, there's another mode, which is called the individual matter level only privileges. Okay, so those are the two that can be set up. So in that case, when it comes to your setup, you're always going to go to set that up under your file, setup, and you go to system options. Now, clearly, to do something of this, to set up any ethical wall, you have to be the administrator for your firm. Please note that when you build an ethical wall, okay, you by default viewing privileges, it will only apply to new matters. Okay, so all of this setup that we do, if you haven't done so, obviously it's going forward. When it comes to viewing privileges for the existing matters, that has to be set up on an individual matter level, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. Okay, so let's just get you started. Go into the system options, then you're going to go into the features, and then you're going to go into your ethical wall portion here, and you're going to check on the, as you can see, I've set mine up already, but you can check on the settings or on the gear. And this will take you straight to the settings. The first thing to do is to turn your ethical wall is obviously check on the box that says enable the ethical wall. And this one should be as FTS mode, faster static section. The security mode, as we were talking about, there's two of them, right? The mandatory viewing privileges, and then the viewing privileges being optional. Okay, you can start off with the mandatory viewing privileges as your default viewing setups, and then you can say default viewing privileges here. As you can see from this section, this is only going to apply, as I mentioned before, only to your new matters, as it says down here. These apply to new matters only. So in the instance where you want to have, the viewing privileges for a particular attorney, all right, in other words, where that attorney is the lead attorney for a particular case or matter, you can set the individual, and then you can set the individuals, or I should say the other attorneys or staff members that cannot view the matter, where the lead attorney here at the top is going to be the one for your cases. So you can start grabbing, or you grab all. If you only are excluding two or more, you can easily just move the entire thing and then bring back the one that you cannot. It's a little bit easier than do it the other way around, right? Highlighting each one and whatnot. These are, as you can see in my case, these are all work groups that I've created, and those can also be moved along the way. So you can click them at a time, move them like this, or you could have just grabbed the entire thing and moved it, and then of course exclude the one that you definitely don't want to be able to view in a specific attorneys' cases or matters. So if I would then come down here and then choose any one of these given names, you can then move them over like this, or other. If you have another another attorney that you don't want to view that particular case by a particular attorney, you can do it so like this. And then of course you also have the ability to set these viewing privileges for specific case types, right? So as depending on how you have preset these as far as within your system, those will all be here, the ones you've modified. Let's say it was antitrust, just to say an example. Now, any cases where there's antitrust cases and you don't want a particular attorney, again, viewing those, then that's how you would do it again. You would just bring everything over to this side and then maybe exclude one particular attorney from viewing, let's say, or staff member from viewing those particular antitrust attorneys. Once you're done with this, you would obviously just click done and hit done again. And that in itself will then not allow those particular individuals that you selected to not view obviously any given one of the specifications that you put in place. What it is highly recommended though is that in order for the ethical wall to actually be effective, as it says here, and you'll get this prompt as a matter of fact, is to strongly recommend all of your users to have their passwords when you're logging in. Okay, this is actually indicating to me out of my users which ones don't have a password. So in order for the ethical wall to be as efficient as it should, please let the rest of your staff know that they should be entering their passwords when logging into Abacus. That is the very beginning. When you log into AbacusLaw, you should always have a password to enter. If this is telling me that these individuals in my group don't have one, so it won't work as effectively as it should for these individuals. Okay. Once you're done with that, you would hit done. And as simple as that, that is how you're setting up, right, the default viewing setup for any new matters coming along. Okay, so just to show you, if you then want to set up individual security or viewing privileges at the matter level, you can then go into any given one of the matters and then go into the lock icon that you see here at the right hand side here, right next to the question mark. And there you would be able to set up, again, who you would wish to exclude from viewing these matters. And that will simply mean, again, the same individual. In this case, you don't want them to see this particular case or matter in specifically, then you're simply just going to make sure that you're having that individual in the cannot view matter box. And the rest of them obviously can't view it. So that's on an individual basis versus obviously the default viewing settings for the new matters coming in. As far as the existing matters that were in place before, those, if you haven't, let's say you're just starting to use the ethical wall, anything that existed, any other matters that existed prior to that, you're going to have to go individually into each matter and set up the viewing privileges in this fashion. All right, so that one I already did. I would then go into the 10 My Matters. If I had another one for Stefan Bell, I would then log in. See, now it's not locked, so that means that everyone can see it. Now, if I go into my viewing privilege, you see everyone can view this matter, cannot view this matter. For the most part, everyone can see it. When I then lock it in, then only certain individuals will be able to see it versus others not. Okay, so that's the difference in the setup. Now, all of what I just explained and talked about can also be seen on video demonstrations that we have if you need to go step by step. I know we have a recording of this that you can view later on, and I don't know if you know that, but under abacusnext.com/webinars, you'll be able to then see the videos. But just know, as another note, in case you were not aware of this, other great video demonstrations of possible future features that you might use are going to be under the help guideline here, and then you can go into demonstrations of video. When you pull that out, this screen is going to pop up, as Abacus demos, and then you can see all the different ones that you have for AbacusLaw. So you have enhanced document management, mail merge, the ones for ethical wall, they're both here. Okay, so you have that as a resource, and just know that if for Abacus Accounting you ever wanted to look into anything as well, you always have it. These are all demonstration videos that not only capture what I'm going over today, but also a lot of other great information that you might want to tap into by this Abacus demos. Not everybody knows about these demonstration videos, so I just wanted to let you know that they do exist and where they are. They're simply under help, again, under your demonstration videos. The other thing that we wanted to cover today, as far as securities setup is concerned, is going to be under your file, setup, and it's going to be under your user manager. Okay, permissions can be set, and again, this is an administrator that has the ability to set these up for everyone. For each individual user that you guys have, you can set up what we call security profiles. So as you can see, if I go to the next stage here, my next staff member, Chris Park, if I go to security profile, I can see that it's already highlighted that he is as a paralegal. Okay, as far as a paralegal is concerned, if you wanted to then edit any one of his permissions that are given, you can always go to the edit section, and then you have your case management permissions settings, your accounting permission settings, and your accounting reporting. So already you should have obviously thought about this, and I don't know how to what extent you've done this, but any given one of your staff members already has a security profile in place. That is by standard. If you want to look into it, you can dive into the edit portion and more or less see under the case of practice management, everything that has a checkbox is because those are the permissions that are allowed, right? And this is in regards to, let's say, general settings. So in general settings, they're allowed to do all of this. Obviously, there's one that they can't do, and that one is set up billing. Okay, paralegals are not allowed to set up billing. That's just the way it works. View other private records. But each individual staff member can be modified to your liking or whatever permissions you want to give. This is already for just the paralegal as a default, but you can always modify each individual one. Even though you start off with a paralegal, you can do further modifications. This is just general settings. When we talk about any other thing as far as the features or permissions set for any particular topic, you can then see for names and matters. Okay, well, for names and matters, it looks like the paralegal can do everything. And you get the idea. This is going to go on and on for every single one of these subjects, right? Reports, queries. Who can do queries? Oh, they can run the query, they can edit app, but they cannot delete it. Okay, so only office administrators will be able to do that, or administrators per se. So these are the kind of things that you got to keep in mind when it comes to security purposes. This is obviously a very lengthy project in the sense of what should be permissions should be given to whom and what security profiles and levels you want to do that, and then maybe even be more specific on a individual to individual cases basis, right? So just keep that in mind when you're doing all these security profiles. If I go to DSW, for example, and I just show you the security profile, well, he's an attorney. Well, clearly, again, if I go to my edit, case permissions, I can see that he's allowed to do pretty much everything, okay, except for view others' private records, okay? So understanding this concept of the security and the permissions that can be given, obviously will let you go a long way. So in the event that you ever wanted to, not let the paralegals or specific attorneys look into, let's say, the billing and finances and so forth and so on, you can always preset that within any one of these security profiles on an individual basis. Okay, so you can go in here and then you can say, when it talks about, instead of this case was general settings, but if I wanted to go back, sorry, see the attorney, and I'm editing now. Instead of going into case management, I want to do accounting permissions. Then I can go into the accounting permissions as far as where to go. Billing, payments, if they can, tackle any of these. And just feel free to, obviously, it's going to be quite the task, but go into each one and figure out more or less what permissions you want to establish for any given level of your employee's status. Okay, that's pretty much everything that I had for today. If there are no questions, we will wrap it up. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to see if any questions come through. And if they don't, then we'll call it a day.
Well, it looks like we don't have any questions, so we can wrap up today's webinar. Thank you to Ben Fu, and as a reminder, you can access this on our website at abacusnext.com/webinars. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Bye-bye.